Hello, this is Neil, the art instructor at masterpaintnow.com, where you can find lots of free tutorials on how to draw and how to paint. Before we get started in how to draw and design your own dragon head from the side view, I want to give a quick overview of what this course, or what this lesson, sorry, is actually going to teach you. So unlike a lot of these YouTube videos out there that are called lessons or tutorials, I'm actually going to show you how to draw the dragon head and invent your own dragon head, the necessary construction in the way, the methods that will be used, the hows and whys, so that you're not just stuck with going, hey, here's how I drew this specific dragon head, and you start out this way and this way, and then now you know how to draw that one dragon head from that side view. That's not very helpful for being able to invent your own dragons and drawing your own dragons from imagination. So instead, I'm actually going to show you the method that I use to invent dragon heads and what to study and everything, so that way you can invent your own dragon heads from side view. And then also just quickly, just because a lot of people ask me this question, I want to go ahead and get out of the way right now. I'm using Manga Studio 5 EX. That's the software I'm using. I have it set to dark. Sometimes it'll be light. That's just a simple preference that you go to select. And then secondly, I'm using a Cintiq by Wacom, or Wacom as some say it, and it's a 12WX, so it's the older model. Now they have the 13X out, or the 13-inch, which I'd like to get but can't afford yet. All right, so let's get started with this lesson. What you're looking at here is some pencil sketches I did of just a couple of different designs I designed very quickly. I did all these in like maybe 10 minutes. That is the whole entire page. And you have here two dinosaurs and then a snake head and a turtle head. And I just did a quick, study of these animals to get an idea of what I want for my dragon heads, and then from that I extrapolated these other dragons. So the animals you want to study is dinosaurs. Definitely study a lot of dinosaurs. Do a lot of drawing of dinosaur heads, especially the raptor and T-Rex and things. Do a lot of study of snakes, different reptiles, lizards, turtles, which is an amphibian. So you can study amphibians, even fish, even dog heads, especially studying the structure of the dog head. And actually, I started this one right here out with a dog head structure. So let's go and get started and figure out how can we design our own dragon heads. So the first thing is the construction. And if you look at how like different art books have you construct, a dog head and things like that, that's kind of what you want to start with. You want to start with the basic shapes. What's the shape or the idea you want for your dragon head? And based off of that, you can then add in different ideas that you've learned from different creatures. Add in a little bit of the dinosaur, a little bit of the dog, a little bit of a snake, and you add these little bits and pieces from different animals. Definitely from dinosaurs, I think that's probably the biggest influence, I think, and different lizards to get your construction. So let's say we want to do more of a longer, sleekier head of a dragon. I might, heavily source the snake for this, but I'm always going to start with some sort of oval or circle type shape here. Also, another good head to study would be the horse head, because the horse head has this really good shape right here, and then it kind of comes off like this, and you have like something about like this for your main construction. And that right there is really easy, and it's also similar to a dog. It's really easy to turn into a dragon head. Any kind of construction you have here, though, is great to go by. So the first thing I want to do is you think about the head. The dragon head has two main pieces to it, just like a dog head or any other kind of animal head usually. And then lizard head, you have this first circle piece, and then you have the snout that comes off of that. And depending on how long you want to make the dragon head, that's what you focus on. So the first thing I want to decide is what kind of nostril do I want to have? That is, what kind of front muzzle do I want my dragon to have? And there's so many different types to choose from. And I really recommend not only just studying other people's inventions of dragons, but study these different dinosaurs and stuff to come up with your own dragon head. And so let's say, what if we take something like a rhinoceros, right? And so we kind of come out with this rhinoceros type of function here. And I'm going to kind of come with that. And this is my main construction I'm going to start drawing here. I want to have some sort of kind of turtle-ish type of point here to the bottom of the face. And that's why I study the turtles for, is that kind of that little point. I'm exaggerating it. So what you're doing a lot when you're inventing a dragon is you're taking from these different creatures, and then you're inventing off of that, and you're exaggerating, you're simplifying, and so forth. So I'm going to go ahead, and also from the rhino kind of has a shape like that. And now I have this like kind of rhinoceros nostril nose coming in the front here. And you can decide, what kind of nostril you want to put in here. You can have a thin nostril or a thick nostril. It's up to you what you think looks cool. And so there's all these different things you can add to your dragon that will make it have its own unique style and its uniqueness to it. That's how you're inventing your dragon, is you're taking from a lot of these different sources. And then I'm going to have some kind of a brow that comes up from a side view. And now sometimes from a side view you might notice you can see a little bit of the back the back brow there and a little bit of the other part of the nose there. I'm just going to kind of hint that in there just a little bit. The next part you want to decide on, I think, as far as the shape goes, is the bottom part of the mouth. So first, I'm going to go ahead and add in. I'm gonna have the mouth closed. It's always easier to design the dragon, I think, with the mouth closed first, and then go back and design it how it would look like if you opened its mouth. And we'll go ahead and show how to do that with the drawing. So next is the jaw part. Do I want it to be more like a horse and have this kind of bigger jaw like this, and then come down with maybe a chin like that, or do I want to have it more, sleek and come back like a lizard or a snake, and maybe come like this and be thin even, and all this will change, how you want your dragon to be. And for now, I'm gonna kind of go with the backwards, kind of more slender look, but I'm gonna kind of come to a bulkier front face here, which is more, I think, like a dinosaur. Something like this. And this is something new I'm designing right now on the spot with you guys, so that you can see how the designing process works when you're trying to design a dragon. From here, you got to decide, where do you want any kind of flaps of skin, and then this is where you can get to aquatic creatures, studying different kinds of aquatic creatures, like the seahorse would be a really good one to study for getting cool ideas for dragon heads. And I kind of want to have like a flap of skin right here as part of my design. And I'm going to have that turn into the neck. And then I'm going to have the neck come down like this. I know the other part of the neck will be come back like this. This is the basic way. The head kind of attaches very similar to how, or the neck attaches very similar to the head, the way a snake or turtle neck might attach to their head. At least that's what I use. And then also, I base it off of some other dragon designs. Now with the brow and the skull structure, you can lean more toward a snake or more toward a turtle, more toward a dog. It's up to you what you want to do. There's so many ways you can go about designing the eye part. But what I first like to do is come up with a basic eye structure or shape. And for that, I usually tend to lean more toward the lizards, the reptiles rather, which would be snakes, lizards, and stuff. Maybe a little bit of amphibian, but mostly reptiles is what I lean toward. I might even have some type of, I don't know what you call it, but under like cheekbone right here, where it kind of comes up right here, and then this is going to come back in space. And maybe this part here is actually going to have some sort of structure, scales, bones coming off of the face here. And it might even serve some sort of purpose, evolutionary purpose. You can think about all that later. First, it's just what looks cool. Then you can go back and redesign it and think about what can I do to make this thing make sense evolutionary wise. But I'm actually going to get rid of that. I don't like it. So, there's a lot of things. This is part of the design process, and that's why I'm doing it live for you now. I'm going to kind of come down like that with like a darkness. And here, I'm actually taking, believe it or not, in my mind, what I'm getting this from is from a cat and bird. Bird is another thing to study for dragons, believe it or not, considering that birds came from dinosaurs. Kind of makes sense for those that believe in evolution. For those that don't, then whatever, doesn't matter. They have a similarity. So you have this kind of similarity between dragons and birds. That's definitely worth studying bird anatomy and their beaks and how they attach and stuff like this. And this little dark part here and how it adds color can be really interesting. You can add some really interesting color by studying birds and how their eyes, especially how the eyes attach to the beak. And just imagine this right here attaching to the beak of the bird, and then that you turn into the dragon. So of course I want to get more scaly with it. And your dragon doesn't have to be scaly. It can be more amphibian-like, where instead of being scaly, it's more like a salamander, that wouldn't make much sense, but for an aquatic type of dragon, it could. Instead of being like alligator and have a lot of protection, maybe this dragon is more vulnerable like a salamander, and so it relies on other things for its protection and stuff like that. And these are all things you can think about when you're designing a dragon. I like to give, at this point here, when you're deciding on the spines, do you want spikes? Do you want horns? Oftentimes dragons will have horns. Do you want ears? Do you want some more of an aquatic type thing where it's kind of like almost like a bat wing right here, where you have this almost like mermaidish type thing? And this is where the seahorse is going to really influence your design process here, I think, because the seahorse kind of has this thing going on. You can add something like that to your dragon. I think it looks pretty cool. And you can also add that and horns. And with horns, you can like do something crazy where you have these like long kind of curly horns, or you can just go back with spiked horns and studying horns, to study all kinds of horned creatures, from bulls to goats to antelope, because you get a lot of ideas about how to construct horns. That is, how the individual horn should be constructed. Do you want it to be like this, like kind of have it almost like a unicorn horn, and this would be, there's a lot of different ways in which horns are actually constructed that can give you a really cool idea of how you want your horn to be constructed. I'm going to kind of do something like that. And this would be more like kind of a way a ram's horn is designed, except it's not going to be curved like a ram's horn. It'd be more straight like an antelope or something. And then I have the other horn coming back there in the side view. And when it comes to, I'm going to add no detail for that one for right now. When it comes to how you want to have the horns from side view, you really got to study the side view of creatures and maybe even make a quick model with clay or a quick model in a 3D program or something, even with just the most rudimentary shapes that somewhat resemble a dragon, just so you know how those spikes should come off and be viewed in the side view. Because it can be kind of confusing to try to figure that out from imagination without studying it first from reality and how it kind of looks. Side view is one of the hardest views, I think, to convincingly make look 3D and how you shade it. So I think you really want to go with like a left to right type of light source or something like that. Now, so far, I think this dragon's looking pretty cool. There's a lot of things we can do, I think, to maybe add some more coolness to it. We can add more of a spike here. Maybe even some little bit of spike hairs or something like that there. We can maybe change the shape of the jaw here coming down. I'm gonna have this here, so since those spikes are gonna be there, I'm gonna be erasing the other part. I can kind of come down and come out like this, maybe add more of a shape like that. But anyway, this is the design process. So it's just about taking knowledge. So it's to be able to design dragons from any angle, really. It takes first studying a lot of these different animals that I mentioned and getting this knowledge built up of animal anatomy and reptile anatomy, and you can see how they all kind of basically relate to each other, and there's only little deviations here and there. But if you take all this different anatomy in your head from these different animals like dinosaurs, and of course with dinosaurs you want to look at the reconstruction of dinosaurs, like how do they imagine dinosaurs. I can actually have his amphibianness connect to his horn almost, and that'd be kind of interesting. But anyway, you want to study the actual rendering of dinosaurs, not just like the bones. And then I'm going to have that little flap of skin coming down here, which connects off like that. All right, and then the scales would be somewhere in that area. I'm just going to kind of make them simple for now. Right, so there you have it. That's just one dragon head that I just designed from right now live with you top of my head. I'm not looking at any reference or anything. I'm just thinking about the different creatures that I've learned and that I've studied, the ones I mentioned namely, and then I'm kind of putting that all together in the same way I would construct those creatures. I'm constructing this dragon head, and then I would go ahead and ink it really quick, or finish out the sketch and just make it a sketch that has some more details and some more shading. And so I'm going to go ahead and fast forward really quickly, just adding some shading to this thing, and then we'll see what it looks like. All right, so quick voiceover here as I'm showing this sketch or the shading here in real time. I'm thinking about the 3D light source, so I'm thinking about the light source coming from the upper right-hand corner a little bit toward us, that is toward the viewer. And this, I think, is one of the best ways to shade a side view so that it looks the most 3D. And you just have to think about, if you have a hard time doing that, I really recommend my course, Form, Lighting, and Perspective. And that course is also part of my How to Draw and Paint Comics course. So if you want to just get that whole bundle, it's part of that bundle. It also includes how to draw heads, how to draw figures, and so forth. How to use Photoshop. It's a pretty cool bundle. And the main brushes I'm using is the pencil brush and the transparent watercolor brush, which is part of the paintbrush. All right, so that's pretty much it. Just a quick commentary while Lisa's listening to something rather than just, sped up shading of the dragon. All right, so that's just quick sketch over. I didn't add a lot of detail to it. It's just a quick sketch. It's just to get the idea across, and then you don't want to spend too much time on a sketch because you're just developing ideas. Now with pencil, I can actually shade this much faster. So sometimes when I want to just like come up with quick concept ideas, I find pencil to be much faster, especially using like my clutch pencil. If you're interested in the traditional materials I use, you can go to my website, which is in the description, masterpaintingnow.com, and then just go to my art supplies, and you'll see my main art supplies I use there. I have pictures of them, and then you can, where to buy them. And they're really cool. I like them. I use them all the time. It's really good for quick sketching. But sometimes digital sketching is faster too, especially if it's more of a completed type of sketch, because then it's easier to rearrange things, erase things, things like that. So it just depends on, I guess, the mood I'm in and whether or not I think I can achieve a sketch faster with pencil or with digital. Anyway, the technique's the same. It doesn't change. So whether you're working traditionally or on a tablet, the technique remains the same. Your hands still doing the same motions. It's just sometimes harder to get those motions done digitally. A Cintiq definitely helps, or some kind of good drawing tablet with good pressure sensitivity. Right, so that's it. That's how I come out with designing different dragon heads, and I can use this exact same you know technique and come up with different designs. I can be like, okay, so what if I want to instead uh, change the shape a little bit? I start out with something that's more thin and like this, and I come out with something more crocodile-ish. And this is another, alligators and crocodiles are good things to study as well. And here you can also see a lot of the bird aspects, right here. This has a lot of, bird type qualities to it. And then I would take this and I would turn it into a dragon head, and I would maybe do a thinner type neck for it. This would be a thinner, slender body. But you can see there, just that quick, maybe add some kind of ear in here, just that very quick sketch, I was able to come up with a basic idea. And then from that, I can go, do I like the idea? Do I want to maybe change this thinner? Maybe come out with a bigger, bulkier nose here for this part, and I can start, adding little changes to it. And then how do you open a mouth? So once you have a basic sketch, to open the mouth is actually very simple. If you want to open mouth design, just grab this bottom jaw part that is the part that opens and moves before you finish. Like when you just have this little rough sketch out, put that little mark there, drag that over in Manga Studio, and then just open the mouth like this, and then click OK, and bam, you're done. I know I did that very quickly. This isn't really about how to use Manga Studio. I'm actually coming out with a crash course on how to use Manga Studio. So for those that are interested in that course, I'll be coming out with it soon. But the next course I'm coming out with will be the how to draw manga bodies course, and then also a book, how to draw the human figure Kindle book. That'll be coming out with too here. I'm about halfway done with that, so that's gonna be really cool. And I'll show some previews of that before I come out with that. So that's just quickly how you open the mouth, and I like doing it that way. It's just easier for me to design with the mouth closed and then open it, and then and then do it like that way. If you're working with traditional, you can either cut that out and then on a piece of paper and then open it up by twisting it and then putting another piece of paper over it and tracing it really quick, or you can just imagine that part, or you first you draw your dragon with this mouth closed, then you trace this upper part first only, and then you turn your paper and you trace the bottom part so that the mouth looks like it's open. It's just a quick way to get everything to look right. Or you can just imagine how it looked like it was open and then open it up. Either way works fine. Oftentimes there's this piece of skin right here that you can learn from snakes and dinosaurs. It'll either be on the inside or outside. It depends on the species. But with your dragon, you can decide whether or not that flap of skin is on the outside or it's on the inside. So whether it's pinkish or whether it's more of the skin color of the actual dragon skin itself. All right, guys, thank you for watching. If you found this tutorial all useful, do me a favor and go ahead and share the crap out of it. Thanks, I appreciate it. And leave comments in the section here on what's your favorite kind of dragon. Aquatic, the more aquatic type dragon, or the medieval dragon, Japanese dragon. There's all different kinds of dragons to choose from. What's your most favorite style of dragon, and what is your best influences? If you had to pick one animal and only one animal to study to draw dragons, what would it be? Me, it would be probably the raptor dinosaur. If I had to only choose one to study, that's the one I would personally study to come up with dragons. Or T-Rex, one of the two, but I think it'd be the raptor. Anyway, so what's the one single animal, if you're only allowed to study one to draw dragons from, what would it be? And it can't be dragons because that's cheating, because that's other people's inventions. Right. So those two questions, and also, do you want to see more dragon tutorials? If so, what do you want me to cover next? The body, and if so, I can really only cover like one body in a tutorial. So tell me what kind of body. The medieval type dragon body that's more of like lizard-like with arms and legs and a tail, a more beefy body, or more that's like the Japanese dragon type body, which is more serpent-like. So yeah, let me know. We already want me to do another dragon head, but this time maybe the front view or a 3/4 view. 3/4 view being the most difficult view of any creature, being human or anything. Whenever you do a 3/4 view, it's always the most difficult, I think personally. All right, thank you for watching.